Hi everyone, this is Alexandra Levine with hashtag JEXIT. I'm also the treasurer on the board of JEXIT Inc., coming to you live from my bunker in Washington, D.C. on this wonderful Sunday evening. We got a lot of news today to cover, and I'm so happy that everyone can be on this Facebook Live. So, let's get into it. So, as you know, the president is a counterpuncher. He will not punch first unless somebody goes after him first. So who went after him this week besides the squad and the deep state? Elijah Cummings. Elijah Cummings is pushing for impeachment of the president after we had this whole thing with the Mueller hearing that was all day Wednesday from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Again, no collusion, no obstruction of justice. But Elijah Cummings just, won't let it go. Like Nancy Pelosi and others will not let it go. Like Jerry Nadler will not let it go. So Congressman Elijah Cummings in the district of who lives in Baltimore in Maryland, who's been a sitting congressman for 36 years, he went after the president. And when you go after the president has the right to defend himself, and he does. And he uses the power of Twitter to get his message out and to get the real truth out to the American people. So he says to Elijah Cummings, instead of going after me and spewing lies about me and trying to hurt me and hurt my presidency, why don't you take care of your district in Baltimore, which is disgusting, rancid, filthy. It's actually unsafe to drive to his district in Baltimore, especially downtown Baltimore, especially near Camden Yards and Peabody Conservatory. I remember when I was accepted there for my undergrad at Peabody Conservatory, which is a school of music, they told me you would be very lucky if you didn't get mugged, because all of the musicians got mugged there on a daily basis. So I'm like, great, wonderful, fabulous. So the president did not mention his color. He didn't mention anything about race. But of course, the Democrats play the race card, and they automatically claim that the president is a racist because he's going after a black man, considering that Elijah Cummings went after a white man. And not only just any old white man, he went after President Donald Trump. So I'm watching Fox News Sunday with Chris Wallace, who's a known Democrat. His father, the late Michael Wallace, was actually a good reporter and a very strong reporter. And he actually was a very fair reporter. But his son, Chris Wallace, is not like his late father, Michael Wallace. And, Chris Wallace is interviewing Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and, telling him about the comments that the president has said. He's basically saying the president is a racist. And he's trying to get his Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney to also say that President Trump is a racist, which, of course, Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney knows that's not true, and he's smart enough to kind of go around the BS that Chris Wallace is trying to push on him and trying to say. And, Mick Mulvaney said, the president's a counterpuncher. You go after him first, he's going to hit you harder. And the president is right. The focus should be on securing our borders, on protecting our allies. It should not be about impeachment, because we've had 3 years of trying to figure out if the president obstructed justice, if he colluded with the Russians, and we know for a fact that none of that happened. Hey, Adams, my good friend Adam Shaughnessy down in Miami. Hey, thank you so much for joining. My friend Karen Simone Bassel, who's an extreme I hope that all of you guys can hear me, and I hope that the connection didn't cut off too badly. If the connection cuts off, let me know, okay? And please let me know if you all can hear me. It's very important that everybody can hear me. We have a really good message going on tonight. So what I was focusing on was President Trump, calling a spade a spade. It's like, Elijah Cummings, stop going after me. You've been a congressman for 36 years. What the heck have you done? You've done nothing, and you're nothing. And President Trump is actually a proponent of term limits as well. And we thank him for that. Please let me know about the connection. I think it keeps going in and out. If not, I'll have to stop the video and go to a different location. But I am in my bunker here in DC. So after the first set of news about, Chris Wallace telling the American people that Trump is a racist and trying to get Congressman Mick Mulvaney to say he's a racist, or not Congressman, I'm sorry, Acting Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney to say he's a racist, which of course he never would, and we all know that's not true. I turn on to another station, and I only do this when Fox News is on break, because I mostly watch Fox News, to be honest with you, or I read a lot of conservative media outlets. I also read the Wall Street Journal. I mean, I'm very objective in my reading. I'm not politically biased. But I listen to specific reporters who I know for a fact will spew out the news, the real news, not the fake news. So I go to CNN, and Jake Tapper is live in Detroit, Michigan, where the Democrats are having their second debate in Tuesday night. And he's in Congresswoman Rashida Tliab's district, District 13. And, he, says to her, you had a bill on the floor that went through. It was the anti-BDS bill. It was passed. I think it was 346 said yes. 14 people said no, and there was one independent, one person that, said he was like neutral. Congresswoman AOC and Congresswoman Omar were among the, I want to say 11 people that voted, and if the number has changed, I need to go research that a little bit better on my part. But they were amongst the people that said no, that they believe in BDS, they support BDS. As we know, BDS stands for Boycott, Divest, and Sanction, which believes that Israel is an apartheid state, that the Israelis are living in Palestinian land, and that they have hurt and sucked the rights away from the Palestinian people, that they don't give them foreign aid, that they are mean and rude to the Palestinians, they don't allow them to obtain citizenship and borders, and that their views are racist, that they provide, that they do racist things, or they discriminate against the Palestinians that live in the West Bank, which we know is not true. The West Bank, by the way, is a.k.a. Judea and Samaria, a.k.a. Eastern Jerusalem, not East Jerusalem, but Eastern Jerusalem, which is actually Israeli land. But illegal Palestinians live there, and they like to kill each other there, and they like to hurt the Israelis that live there, and they like to hurt the Israeli officers that defend and protect that piece of land. And also, the West Bank is very small. There's a lot of communities that are Jewish communities that are being built around the West Bank, and the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, they have to fend off these illegal Palestinians every day who want to cause turmoil in that region. I want to cause turmoil for Jews that are living outside of that region. Because I remember when I was in Israel twice, actually. I was there in 2004 and I was there in 2010. I was not allowed to go through Judea and Samaria for fear that I was going to get attacked, possibly raped, possibly killed. So my charter bus, and I had a friend who was driving at the time, we had to go around that area for safety. I was actually staying in a little place called Tekoa, which is a settlement outside of the West Bank. And again, I had to have my wits about me and be very careful, because you never know when there could be an attack. Because Judea and Samaria is, and I mean, the country of Israel is a very small country. It's smaller than the size of New Jersey. It really is. It's very small. So everything is very close. So that's why you have to be very careful being on the border of Judea and Samaria and towns outside of that area for fear that you're going to get attacked or hurt. So, what's his name? Jake Tapper from CNN was asking Congresswoman, Rashida Tliab, why would you vote, for BDS? And she said, because Benjamin Netanyahu runs a racist parliamentary, and the Israeli government is racist, and they do not support the Palestinian people. She says, my grandmother lives in the West Bank. I have family that live in the West Bank, and they treat the Palestinians not as people, but as things. And she's trying to equate that with what she sees at the border that she went down to in Texas, which of course is absolutely not the same. And the thing is again, she lies and says that the Israelis do not provide aid to the Palestinian people. They don't support the Palestinians obtaining a workplace or citizenship, which is a lie. And she says again that Bibi Netanyahu, the prime minister, spews out racist slurs and racist tropes against the Palestinian people that live there and don't let them live free, which again is not true. Every Arab has the right to obtain citizenship in Israel. Every Arab has the right to obtain a business in Israel. But guess what? It's not the same way around. If a Jew wants to go into Syria, they're not allowed. If a Jew wants to become a citizen of Syria, ain't going to happen. If a Jew wants to obtain business in Syria, ain't going to happen. Same thing with Lebanon. Same thing with Saudi Arabia. Same thing with Indonesia, UAE, Dubai. Jews are not allowed to go into those countries. They're definitely not allowed to obtain citizenship in those countries or a business. But the Israelis give the Arabs, that right. They extremely vet them to make sure that they support Israel, that they will assimilate with the Israelis, that they will work with the Israelis. And let me tell you something, the majority of the Arab Israelis that live in Israel, they are so happy, they feel so safe, and they get along with the IDF. There are actually Arabs that are allowed to serve in the Israeli Defense Force. They vet them also, and it's very interesting. It's very, very interesting, the double standard. Again, no equal justice under the law. The illegal Palestinians that live in the West Bank, they do not want to assimilate with the Israelis. They do not want to have a relationship with the Israelis. They won't even allow American Jews to stay in their homes via Airbnb. It is disgusting. And the double standard needs to stop. Rashida Tliab's brothers are the most anti-Semitic people I've ever heard of. Her two brothers tweeted years ago, I think 2012, 2013, one of those days I have it written down, that one of the brothers said that the Jews control the world, that Zionists control the world, that they don't care about anybody else but themselves. It sounds like Nazi Germany. Another brother had the audacity to say that Hamas is his hero. Hamas is his hero. What kind of people are these? What kind of congresswoman stands by that? These are her blood relatives. These are her brothers. These are her brothers. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. Jewish people, especially liberal Jews, should look at this and not vote for this. Why would you vote into office someone whose blood relatives say that Hamas is their heroes and that Jews control the world? This is really happening. This is really happening. Rashida Tliab's best friend is Linda Sarsour. Linda Sarsour is a known anti-Semite. And Rashida Tliab invites her into the congressional buildings, the Senate building, and the Supreme Court. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. That's why it is time to JEXIT. It is time for the Jewish people, especially the liberal Jews, the moderate Democratic Jews, the young millennials, to JEXIT from the Democratic Party, to vote Republican, to vote for President Trump, to vote for a president that supports you, that supports your rights as Americans, and supports your rights if you're an American that lives in Israel. He supports your right to stand with Israel. If you are a supporter of Israel, you're not pledging allegiance to another country, to a foreign country. You're standing side by side with them. Israel and America stand side by side. Israel is our biggest ally. If you vote Democratic Socialism into our nation, all minorities will have to leave. They will have to leave the United States of America. And we don't want that. We don't want that at all. But this woman couldn't deny that BDS was bad. And even Jake Tapper said BDS is an anti-Semitic group. She had the audacity to say it's not an anti-Semitic group. The Israelis are the anti-Semites. They're the racists. BDS is not anti-Semitic. She said, I went to a school where they taught us that we should all work together and live together and be kumbaya and harmony. That the Palestinians have the same rights as the Israelis. But when these are Palestinians that say death to Israel, death to America, they don't want to assimilate, they don't want to work with the Israelis. They won't even let an American Jew stay in their home via Airbnb. The fact that they don't like that Jerusalem is the sole capital of Israel. The fact that they are controlled by Hamas, which is a massive terrorist organization, Islamic Jihad, which is a known terrorist organization, then we have a problem. We have a problem. The Israelis don't want to fight with them. The Israelis want peace. The Israelis have always wanted peace. They want us to all get along. But you can't get along with terrorists. The Palestinian people voted for terrorists. They voted for Hamas and they voted for Islamic Jihad. That's what they voted for. And you know what they say, elections have consequences. So they voted them in to hurt Israeli people, to build rockets in their homes and throw them across the border. Like I said, Israel is a very small country. Gaza Strip's right on the border of Israel. Very close. You could stand in Ashdod, Ashkelon, and Sderot, which is right on the border, and you can look at the Gaza Strip. You can go to the Golan Heights and see Syria. You can look right over and see it. You can go to Lebanon, in a city called Metula, which is the northernest city of Israel, and look over into Lebanon. That's how close everything is. BDS is not what we want in our nation. You should not vote for BDS. Nobody in Congress should ever vote for BDS. That's right, Am Yisrael Chai. That's right, Am Yisrael Chai. That is correct. That's correct. Thank you, Ron. We want peace, we want shalom. But the Jewish people of America need to wake up and realize that there is anti-Semites in Congress that are supported by terrorist organizations. The Democratic Party spews out race all the time. Rashida Tliab calls herself a woman of color. So does AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. What if every Jewish person called themselves people of color? What if a Scottish person called themselves a person of color? Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to anybody? For the Democratic Party, it's all about race. Let me tell you something. I'm Jewish. I'm 100% Jewish. My parents are Jewish. All four of my grandparents are Jewish. I'm a Kohanim. I'm from the tribe of Aharon. the high priest. I'm a direct descendant of a prime minister, Moshe Sharet. He built Israel. My family built Israel. He's the first foreign minister of Israel. He's the second prime minister of Israel. That is my family on my father's side. I don't go around screaming race. I don't say I'm a woman of color. We need to understand that our country is going to be sabotaged by the squad if they continue further in their rhetoric. And God forbid if they ever get to the White House. If a Democratic Socialist gets voted in for president, if we get a Bernie Sanders or a Kamala Harris or a Pocahontas, even Joe Biden's going far left. It's going to ruin our nation. And we won't be able to survive as Jews. Hey, Jody Steinlauf. Jody Steinlauf, board director of #JEXIT. She, Michelle Lubin-Tersh, is the president and founder of JEXIT. We started the big rally in D.C. that we had May 7th, which had 25 speakers from all religions, races, and creeds. We had Christians, we had Jews, we had Hispanics speak, Native Americans spoke, Caucasian men spoke. We had everybody. #JEXIT is an all-inclusive group. We work with Christians, blacks, gays, Asians, Hispanics, Native Americans, everybody. We're all inclusive. But we need every single minority, including the Jewish people, to wake up. To wake up and see what's invading our nation. This invasion has to stop. This anti-Semitism has to stop. The young people of this nation need to be educated on the Holocaust. They need to be educated on real racism and real anti-Semitism. I had a woman today I was talking to on the phone. She didn't even know what anti-Semitism was. That's scary. The average American person is not educated on this. The 18-year-old in the crowd has already had their mind warped by watching Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Instagram and reading her stuff on Twitter. We all have Twitter. We all have Instagram. We all have Facebook. We all voted more for President Trump than the Democrats did. 65 million people voted for the president. And the president is expanding his base every single day. So the time is now not to be afraid. The time is now to stand for something and not stand against something. I am not going to stand by and have Congresswoman Rashida Tliab and AOC and Omar say that the Israelis are racist and that they're occupying Palestinian land when it's not Palestinian land. I will not have Congresswoman Rashida Tliab say that the Holocaust was a calming effect, and if it wasn't for her Palestinian ancestry, we wouldn't have an Israel today, which is a complete lie. There's a picture, if you look it up, in 1937, there's a picture of Palestinian people or Arabs standing with the German Nazis holding up a swastika flag. 1937. Does that sound like Palestinians trying to help Jews, trying to help other minorities escape the Holocaust and bring I don't think so at all. I think that's just the opposite. Do you think I like a principal down in Broward County, in Boca Raton, giving his political bias about the Holocaust and not reading the book as written, not taking kids to the Holocaust? No more political bias. Let's teach the facts. Let us teach the facts. The truth shall set you free. Honesty is the best policy. You cannot dispute a fact. I've said this time and time again. There was a shooting tonight in North Miami Beach at one of the shuls. The guns for this. Democrats always blame the guns. They want to take our Second Amendment rights away. It's the person behind the gun that makes the decision to shoot or not the gun itself. The gun can't shoot itself. It's the person behind it. They fired 6 shots. The man was shot in the leg 4 times. 62-year-old man on his way to shul. You think he was unbelievable? Unbelievable. Because of this, people won't want to go to shul anymore. They won't want to go to church anymore. They'll be too afraid. And we don't want that either. Because when that happens, then the institutions close. When you don't have members, you close. Every church and synagogue should try to have as much law enforcement. Please encourage your temple or your shul, or your temple or your church to have enough law enforcement. Because those synagogues get crowded for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. For Christmas, those churches get crowded. And that's when people like to strike. The more people that are in a synagogue or in a church, the more they like to strike. Safe. This should not happen. This should not happen in our nation. Never again means never again. Again, I encourage you to go on hashtag JEXIT. Please go on our Facebook page, hashtag JEXIT, tweet us at JEXIT, the number 4 Trump, at JEXIT, the number 4 Trump. Email us, info@jexitusa.org, info@jexitusa.org. We will be doing town halls and events nationwide. If you would like to If you would like us to come to a town or a city near you, please let us know. Please message me privately, Alexandra Levine. You can also go on hashtag JEXIT and message us. We are forming hashtag JEXIT chapters nationwide. If you're interested in starting a chapter in your city, in your state, in your district, please let us know. Again, hashtag JEXIT, JEXIT, at JEXIT, the number 4 Trump, info@jexitusa.org. If you want to email us, info@jexitusa.org. You can also check out our website, jexitusa.org. That's JEXIT, JEXIT, You can also purchase a lovely hat, which is made in the USA. My president and founder, Michelle Lubin-Terrace, created these hats and the logo and the colors. It's gorgeous. We have hashtag JEXIT t-shirts. We encourage everybody to buy these, and we would love for you to wear them at a Trump rally or any type of Trump event. It's a wonderful, wonderful movement, wonderful, wonderful gear, and every dollar goes to saving a life. This is a movement like no other. Again, we are all inclusive. We work with blacks, Hispanics, Asian Americans. We work with, of course, Jews, Native Americans.